92 years old. And a lot of people have no idea. This is one of the oldest districts in South Florida. So they wanted to take on that standpoint. But our district, and again, where people don't know here in the farms, Jupiter Farms, Palm Beach Country Estates, Egret Landing, Jupiter Commerce, and then the RV park over there. I have to always keep that one separate and everything, and going on it and stuff. But what's going on here mainly and stuff, what's the biggest thing that's going to be affecting Jupiter Farms here is that starting, if everything goes scheduled correctly, on July 20th, we're going to be going through on Canal 12, which is the perimeter canal over here, but it's going to start at Alexander, where we put in the new crossing, and it's going to go west and then head back to the north and back to the east and all the way up to Indian Town Road. It's going to be recontoured so that we're not getting all the loss, all the washouts and things of this nature. So that section of the canal is going to be closed down. It's going to be put out. We'll try to get it on with Facebook and stuff. We missed the farmer because we didn't find out until the farmer was already published for this month. But we'll go through. Should be on our website also too. There'll be signage that's going to go. So for the month of July, for about 30 days till about the same time in August, that section of the canal will be closed down. As it's coming along, we might be able to open up some of it so people can go from the Alexander crossing and still get into the Windows and Pines to make the little crossings, but the majority of it, it's not going to be there. It's going to be shut down and stuff. So that's one of the biggest things that's going to be affect people, for using for equestrian, bicycling, hiking and stuff. The other thing that's affected us is that there was some LRP grant money, and what it is it's money to help local communities, like from our district, Palm Beach County, Loxahatchee River District. There are certain projects for grant money, for matching money to get work done. Governor Scott vetoed. It was one of these cases where we had 100% support through all the committees, everything all the way through. It was vetoed. Similar like what happened to us with the park over in Palm Beach Country Estate. After 3 years of having 100% support and 3 straight vetoes from Governor Scott, it gave us a big capability for us being the only government entity then to work with the park. But with this aspect, we're losing out on grant money. The only thing we can do is reapply for this money, or maybe go through, include it into a couple other projects we have in mind, and do a capital improvement. And this would maybe add $4 or $5 per resident on the west side. So there's things of that nature. But where it is, it's 128th north of Indian Town Road. It's a small little section, and every time it rains, it completely just floods the whole area there. And it's an area that we're trying to go in to get it corrected with all the outfalls to help that particular community. The other section that if we would go through is 127th. 127th, it's one of our narrow roads, and in fact it's the only dirt road that has 25-mile-an-hour signs on it in Jupiter Farms. But that one is, again, because the people who live here on 128th have made access to 127th across a canal easement, but didn't put any drainage in, so that they're flooding out the road also too. So that's 2 projects that could be combined into one. We're also looking at adding a canal crossing here at Canal 16 to go in to connect them, to make a loop, because right now on Canal 8, got to get my glasses on here. But at Canal 11 and Canal 8, we have a crossing. So when we made this crossing this past year, all of the mowing and any work that can be done can be all done here without ever having to leave the north side of Jupiter Farms. It's like we have a crossing here at Alexander, and then we also have one over here at Randolph Siding and 134th. What it's done, it's saved us time in going through and getting equipment in different locations. So instead of just the tractors running everywhere, we're actually using them. Like for this particular one right here, the tractor's here to go all the way down and come back to the other side. It was an extra half-hour travel time. don't have that stuff anymore. We've actually, we're improving the district to make it more efficient. All right, now, where I know what a lot of you going through is the upcoming election. All right, with the upcoming election, this particular time period, it's going to be 2 residents that need to be elected. A lot of it is dealt with, some with the past election, there were some things that were misunderstood from different, from our legal department and all, but it still was a complete legal election. We're going through, so we're going to be going through with 2 residents for this next coming election. So one has to be on the west side of the C-18, which is Jupiter Farms. The other one is open. It can be from the east side, west side. When I say east side, the east side could be Palm Beach Country Estates, Egret's Landing, or the Jupiter Commerce Park. The RV park counts as the west side. All right, right now we have 4 people that are up for election. Myself, Tom Rice, John Myers, and Rick Lee. Right now, in the past, that Tom Rice has not been a resident. What he's doing, he is leasing property in Palm Beach Country Estate and plans on transferring his residency to that particular lease in Palm Beach Country Estates to qualify as a resident. And then Rick is going through, and he is going, and he's leased land in Jupiter Farms, and he's transferring his residency to the west side. So that's how it will appear on the ballot. So on the ballot, there will be 1 person on the east side, and 3 will be on the west side. That will be myself, Rick, and John Myers will be on the ballot, and that's how it will read. Now, but one of the things of it is, if Tom or Rick do not meet that requirement on the day of the election, then those ballots would just not be counted, the ones that we're going through with them and stuff. Now, the other thing, which is a neat thing about with our special taxing district, once they go through, and if Rick or Tom Rice is elected, 10 days after the vote is certified, and no one contested the election, they can go ahead and dissolve their leases and go back to their homes. That's how the law was set up. And this is from our legal representation. And if anybody would want that, it has been, Terry, who's our, for the lawyer-wise, will even come to the August meeting here at Jupiter Farms and answer questions from anybody if they have any questions concerning it. But it's just, it's one of the things that it's set up in the system because the things say like shall and things of this nature. Like Mike Dunchuk right now is not a resident nor a landowner. He's the president of our board, but he's not a resident nor a landowner. But here's the thing. On the day of the election, and then when it was certified, and 10 days after, he was.
Steve, when you say that that's the way the law is written, is that's the way the law is written, or is that the way the SIRWCD lawyers have interpreted it?
That's the
because
way.
Every other election in Florida that I know of that has any kind of residency requirement, it's a residency requirement.
And
so they're interpreting it as shall on the day of the election.
Right, but then you have to realize that there's no case law that's out there that goes through. Now, the only thing that you could do is then go and contest it in that 10-day time period. So you've got that 10-day window that can be contested. But the way it is set up under this 298, it is...
On the 11th day, they can say, we don't have this anymore, we just did this to get elected, and that's all.
Correct, and that is legal under the special act.
And our lawyer, the SIRWCD lawyers are willing to say that's okay.
They don't have a choice.
They don't have a choice. That is what they have to go by because this is what goes on all the time. Like Tom Rice, prior to him buying the land from Bob Berman, that
You mean the sliver of land that
The
he owns
sliver.
over here?
that he had bought a piece out here on Indian Town Road, and it was a $35,000 deal. 3 days afterwards, it was given back. It was just quick deeds given back and forth. That this is the way it's going. So the only thing,
Steve, I understand what Terry Lewis has said about the election, I understand that. But the situation that I don't understand is that when someone like Dan Truck sells their home, they are no longer resident. You have to have 3 out of 5 that are residents. Is Terry
Because-
Lewis saying at
As
this point,
a-
or will he put into writing at some point in time that it's perfectly
unless
fine
it
to have
is
a
changed
board
by the
of residents?
legislature, it's not going to be done.
It seems, I agree with Matt that there's an interpretation here.
There's an interpretation, but the thing of it is that they have gone through case law. They've spent many hours on it. I have seen the legal bill going through with this and stuff. The last 2 months with going through with the research that they have done and stuff on this and everything else. And with Terry Lewis is going through, this happens in districts throughout. There's some districts that where a company owns, several thousand, they'll give it to an employee for that particular day to run, to get elected to a board, and then they go through and give it back, just so that they can have representation. The only thing that can be done for this is that we're hoping to go through with the help of our supervisor of election to go and to make changes in the SIRWCD rules per se. One is where she doesn't have to count our votes. Because right now it could be 30 days, it could be 60 days, it could be 90 days before we know the results of the election. Or the results of a road referendum. We just were up, it used to be in the past we would get it the very next day we knew what it was. A lot of times on that particular day we would know what was going on. So now when we do I think it's September 17th is our annual meeting. That's the last time people can turn in their ballots. All right, those ballots then will be delivered to the supervisor election on the 18th. When we get the results, it's as good a guess as everybody else.
I may not be the smartest roll of the tree here, but can you explain why somebody wanted to be on this thing so bad, number one, and number two, why they want to scan the system in the first place? By saying they're going to move somewhere, they're not.
I have no idea. That's what this candidate thinks. You can ask them
They
individuals.
make a lot of money, is it? There's a lot of
And so, I have no idea.
And I think that should be
Yeah.
valid questions up for when we have the candidates speak.
I will not answer for anybody. I will not say what anybody's thinking or
Well,
doing.
what is their responsibility? I don't even get it. They're on this board, and they're responsible.
Our
for what?
board's responsibility is to maintain the canals, swales, and roads.
Okay.
That is our thing. We're to go through. We're here for the surface water and maintaining the roads. That is our main goal. So we also have the capability to do capital improvement projects requested by the landowners. We are also allowed to go through and to do work at the park in Palm Beach Country Estates only. That's the only park by legislative action that we're allowed to deal with. Can't do one here in Jupiter Farms, can't do one in Newford Lantern, can't do anything in Commerce Park. It was written specifically for that one particular park, for us to go through and be able to go and do improvements and do maintenance in that park, because we own it as a district. So that's why we're operating. The park is only, the improvements that are going on are only being paid by Palm Beach Country Estates, because it's their park. Jupiter Farms is not charged anything on it.
So, I guess, to answer the question, we, the residents on the west side, want some of our own folk here to make sure that we get what's coming that our roads.
It's not a matter of just want to, it's mandated
Yeah.
that there be
There's only-
representation.
We want to make sure that our stuff is being taken care of and somebody else's on the other side isn't the only priority. That's the point.
That's the point. But the thing of it is though, is that like with myself, I'm concerned over also Palm Beach Country Estates. Even though I'm from Jupiter Farms, I take care of things over in Palm Beach Country Estates. If there's people that call me, instead of some of the, because they know me personally, they don't call some of the ones that are there. They don't even call Mike Ryan. They don't call me, and I go through and get with our district manager to get problems solved over there in Palm Beach Country Estates. Even when it came time for, with the park over there, I personally donated money to their first fundraiser for playground equipment over there, because I wanted to show to Palm Beach Country Estates that I was willing to put money into that park just as much as I was voting to go through, because they're, over the course of 5 years, they're going to be paying about $200. I put that money up front and help them.
What's the procedure to change these rules?
Changing how this goes, legislature,
State
it
legislature.
has to be up in Tallahassee, nothing else. So we're hoping
And then the
that
governor would have to
when Susan Butler goes through and wants to go and help fund part of the expense of
You can
doing this
piggyback
bill.
an amendment.
Pardon?
You can piggyback an amendment.
So we're going through to get some of these changes and different things.
Steve, I don't want to blur lines too, because you're going to be back up here as a candidate in a couple of minutes, so.
But this is what's going on. The only thing, if you do not like what's going on how it works, you have to talk to your state legislatures, to your state senate. There's the only ones that can go to Tallahassee and make a change.
Steve, question. As far as the law is legal, is there not an ethics commission? Look at some-
No. We, at Palm, because we're not Palm Beach County, we as a district are under the governor. So there's no ethics.
You can just end the sentence there.
That was perfectly timed, thank you.
That's where it is, it all boils down to. So if there's something going on, you have to go to the governor. So we have, the person here in Palm Beach County that goes to, that were all the cities sued, that they didn't want to be part of it, and all the other different things, right? They have no control over it. The county, Palm Beach County has no control over it. We're a state agency. We're controlled under the governor.
Are you involved with the paving of the roads and all that subject?
We're involved with the paving the roads if it is done by a capital improvement where the residents have requested this be done. They do it by petition and then through referendum, and then they vote whether or not they want
What's
it.
the percentage of the votes that have to be approved? I mean, I've overheard some things where it's not 50-50, or it's at
It
75.
has changed so much in the last 3 months that we had, it's just like saying you could almost flip a coin and ask where it was going to land right now.
Okay.
Right now, for Jupiter Farms, you have to have 35% of the people to get the petition, and you have to have 51% or more of the landowners approve it. Palm Beach Country Estates, 25% for the petition, and only the majority of the people who vote for it. So in Palm Beach Country Estates, still today, you can have 10 houses, 3 people vote, 2 yes, 1 no, and it could pass.
And everybody has to pay.
Everybody has to pay. All right, we'll get with that.
Thank you, Steve. We'll have you back in a moment. Susan Kennedy, Jupiter Farms Environment.